Hey there, YouTube, and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we are going to be covering a 2022 NFL mock draft, and this is post-combine. A lot of the combine stuff has concluded, so now we are going to jump into this video and analyze some of the selections and why the combine affected the outcome of this overall mock draft. A lot of things have changed with the mock, considering what has happened. And that starts at number one. I have Kayvon Thibodeaux being the first overall pick for Jacksonville. Evan Neal has been a popular selection for a lot of our mock drafts. However, that did change. Kayvon Thibodeaux had a nice combine, didn't participate in all the drills, but did the 40, did the bench press. He really flashed his athleticism like I thought he would. He had an astounding 4.58 40, which was incredible for him. A guy that really can move downhill quickly. And I think Jacksonville's going to be thinking about this pick long and hard. They've already talked about potentially trading out. I'm not sure what kind of a market there is for a team willing to move up. However, it's very possible, and the price won't be as high as it's been in years past, especially when there's top tier quarterbacks being there selected with those top overall selections. At number two, we have the Detroit Lions. This one stays a little consistent for me. 4.74 40 time for Aiden Hutchinson. He's a terrific edge, plays with a lot of tenacity, a guy that's willing to get after the quarterback, can defend the run. He's the complete package as an overall edge rusher. I love this for the Detroit Lions. I think they have to get better up front. This is a guy that's going to change the outlook of this defense. They've made some strides over the last two seasons. However, they take a big step forward with a guy like Aiden Hutchinson, who's ready to really come in and play day one and can be an impact starter immediately, which is huge for the Lions. Now we have the Houston Texans. This is a team that can go a variety of different ways with the top two edge rushers off the board. They end up going with Evan Neal. Evan Neal, like I said, had been projected our first overall pick over these last couple of weeks. However, Evan Neal ends up sliding to 3 here. When you look at the Houston Texans, they definitely have to look along that offensive line. Building for the future is crucial, and getting a franchise left tackle is phenomenal for them. I think you can't go wrong with this pick. There's a number of really, really good tackles, talented tackles in this draft class, and they're going to go quickly in this first round. And that all kind of starts here with a guy like Evan Neal. The next pick. Now, a lot of this has to do with a little bit of recency bias of how the overall combine went. Ahmad Gardner ran an official 4.4 140, and at his size, 6'3", about 200 pounds, it's hard to look away from him, considering he didn't give up a collegiate touchdown at his entire time at Cincinnati is incredible. When you look at what he brings to the table from a physicality standpoint, does a really, really good job tracking the ball. Overall, phenomenal athlete as well. What's not to like about what he brings as a prospect? The New York Jets are going to be looking for a big corner like this in the draft. They might as well address it with arguably the top cornerback prospect. There's one more still to come, but we will break down why he ends up sliding a little bit. However, Ahmad Gardner is definitely picking up steam this draft season, and he finds himself at the highest that he's been in all of our mock drafts, just considering the good combine he had, the measurables. There's a lot that adds into him, jumping all the way up into that 4th overall selection. Now, the next pick is the New York Giants, and the New York Giants are selecting Ike Ekwonu. He was the 7th fastest offensive lineman there, so he can move downhill at a really good pace considering his size, a guy that is going to be phenomenal in the run game, really, really good pass protector on top of it. But what stands out is his ability to get to that 2nd and 3rd level in that run game, a truly dominant offensive lineman at NC State. And the New York Giants are going to be looking to build up that offensive line. They've already done that with Andrew Thomas. They've addressed it with some of their higher selections over the past couple of years. Granted, it's a new regime. However, I think, the focus will be on this offensive line, improving it, making it one of the top units in the entire league. And that's what they're doing here with a guy like Ike Ekwonu at pick number 5. And then you transition into pick number 6, and you have the Carolina Panthers. And to me, when you look at the Carolina Panthers, they definitely need a little more dynamism from that QB spot. The Sam Darnold trade did not work out. So selecting a guy like Malik Willis, who has an absolute cannon of an arm and elite athleticism, that's something you can mold, right? And when you're looking at the NFL draft as a whole, you want to take guys with high upside. Sometimes it doesn't work out, and that might not be the case here. However, Malik Willis brings some of those moldable traits, those elite traits at the QB spot. Obviously needs to get a little more accurate at that next level. However, it's going to take some time for the Carolina Panthers here. Malik Willis is a dynamic prospect and could be a home run selection for them at that 6th overall pick. Now at number 7, we have George Karlaftis, and George Karlaftis is one of those stout run defenders in the entire class. Also a very, very productive pass rusher, flashes on tape, had an amazing freshman season. And this past year as well, he had a phenomenal year. A guy that is just super consistent with his pass rushing moves, offers a lot of variety in what he can bring to the table for an edge rusher. And the New York Giants are addressing the trenches in this draft. I think that's what they have to do moving forward. Brian Daboll and the staff, they're going to have to make a couple of key adjustments to this roster. However, getting a guy like George Karlaftis here, who is so consistent, a guy that has a high floor at the very least, I think that makes a lot of sense for this Giants team. Good pickup here for the G-men, considering they have 2 top 10 picks and they utilize them very, very wisely in this draft. Now, the next one, another high riser. I got Jermaine Johnson out of Florida State. Jermaine Johnson ran an insane 4.5 4.40. Definitely tested a lot better than I thought he would. Terrific athlete. I think there's no question about that. What he brings to the table for the Atlanta Falcons is an explosive pass rusher, guy with good bend off the edge, can transform this front 7 for sure. And I think when you look at what the Falcons are lacking, it's some pass rushing help. This defense is, going to continue to make some improvements. However, with Jermaine Johnson and this high rise and how good of an athlete he is, I think it's tough to pass up on a guy like him of his caliber here at number 8. At number 9, another high riser. We got Trayvon Walker from Georgia, a guy that I was for sure that he was going to make some tremendous strides. When you look at what he's brought to the table from an athleticism standpoint, ran an amazing 4.5 140. 4.5 140. That's exactly what Denver needs. More athleticism off the edge. Him and Bradley Chubb are going to be terrific together in the long term. I love that for the Denver Broncos. I think that when you look at when they've been at their best, they have 2 really, really good pass rushers. Hopefully when Denver's front office is looking at it, they're looking at it through the scope of, we're going to make this a tremendous defense, a top 10 defense for sure, heading into next year. That's what they're trying to do. I think Trayvon Walker really adds to that ceiling of what they could potentially be. Now at number 10, Kyle Hamilton falls to the New York Jets right in their lap. Looking at what they have on the roster right now, they're trying to get better defensively. There's no question about that. But adding a guy as talented as Kyle Hamilton into the fold is phenomenal. He's a really good athlete. He tested well in terms of his overall size. Everything that you are looking for in a safety in terms of instincts and ball skills, he's the total complete package. It's just considering the position he plays, it might push him down the board a little bit. However, very, very valuable to a defense, offers so many different things to, where you can put him on the field, different looks you can provide. He can do a lot of nice disguising, very similar in terms of his overall skill set to a Harrison Smith in his prime. That's kind of what you're looking at as, the ceiling for a Kyle Hamilton. That's how good of a prospect he is. And I don't think the New York Jets would think twice about that selection. Now at number 11, we have a little bit of a changeup. We actually have a wide receiver going here. Already with what they have on roster, it sounds like they've been making calls around the entire NFL about acquiring a veteran quarterback. That tells me and gives me the indication that they are not looking at the QB position likely in the draft. Therefore, I had to switch up my picks. A lot of times you got to change up with what you're doing with the latest information. Garrett Wilson, terrific player on film. Ran that 4.38 40 time. He's a phenomenal athlete, great release, terrific route runner, and he's really good with the ball in his hands. Complete package as a wide receiver. When you look at what the Commanders can bring, I think that you put the infrastructure around that whatever veteran quarterback could be there, it's going to be awesome for them in the long term. Now at number 12, we have a very, very high upside pick, Derek Stingley. Had Derek Stingley been healthy the last couple of years, very well could have been a top 5 selection. It looks like he continues to get pushed down draft boards with some of his injury concerns. But when you look at what he brings from an overall athleticism standpoint, man-to-man standpoint, And you also watch some of his tape. I recently seen some clips with him and Jamar Chase at LSU. I mean, he was absolutely blanketing Jamar Chase, obviously one of the best wide receivers in the entire NFL. That's what, he brings at his prime, at the top of his game when he's healthy. Derek Stingley, terrific athlete, a guy that's going to help fix this Minnesota Vikings secondary that desperately needs it. I think this is an absolute steal at number 12. This is an A+ level selection for the Vikings. At number 13, we have Chris Olave, who's been a high riser on the boards, considering the 40 time he ran of 4.39 official. I think you can't really look past this one. Chris Olave, when you watch him on film, does a great job beating guys deep, sets them up on the short to intermediate routes, and then it will eventually break one off deep. He's a big time playmaker. Chris Olave definitely flying up people's boards. There's a lot of people in the draft community that thought he was going to run slow. That was not the case. 4.39. One of the fastest times that we had at the draft at the wide receiver position. Terrific route runner, also creative in short spaces. I love that for the Cleveland Browns, who are going to be looking for a true number one. Chris Olave very well could turn into that in his career for sure. Now at number 14, we had the Baltimore Ravens, David Ojabo. And David Ojabo is a guy that also ran very well, which we were expecting. I didn't, once again, expect him to run the 4.55 that he did. However, I think this is a terrific match made in heaven like fit for David Ojabo. They've been missing Matthew Judon since his departure. I think David Ojabo steps in and offers a lot of what Judon had offered in the past. I love what he brings from an athleticism standpoint. His ability to get after the quarterback is, superb. I love this for the Baltimore Ravens, who seemingly always seem to make really quality decisions during the actual draft. They've done a great job in years past with their selections. To me, this makes too much sense at that 14th spot. Now at number 15, we have the Philadelphia Eagles, and the Philadelphia Eagles are in a position where they can do a lot of different things. They might look at a guy like Kaiir Elam with his overall size, the fact that he ran a 4.39, which once again, I had preached about his athleticism during this draft process, and he was able to finally show that off. This is another guy that people were doubting in the draft community of, being too slow. However, he was a really good athlete, tested super well. And I think the Philadelphia Eagles are going to be looking for a top tier corner. That's what Kaiir Elam's upside is. Got the long arms, big frame. I think from Philadelphia's standpoint, they'd be kind of drilling at this at number 15 because they have another selection coming up. And I think it's going to address a key need for them. It's actually a red zone threat. I like Dallas Goedert. I think he's a phenomenal tight end. I think at the wide receiver position, you're looking for a guy that can be a true red zone player. Drake London didn't run that 40. However, we saw from a volume standpoint was the go-to guy at USC with Keaton Slovis throwing to him. Saw a lot of targets every game he played in. A lot of times it was double-digit targets and, darn near double-digit catches as well. From that standpoint, I could see him being a high-volume guy in this Eagles offense. Also, with his 6'5" frame in that red zone, it's going to be tough to stop him. I think for Philadelphia, not necessarily their biggest need at wide receiver. However, I think that's going to take that offense to new heights, in my opinion. Now at number 17, we look at Jordan Davis, who was dominant at the combine, 4.78 40 at 341 pounds. The complete package from an athleticism and size standpoint, everything you're hoping for. For me, I think if you plug him into in the middle of that Chargers defense, watch out. He's going to be a terrific run stopper. Has some upside as a pass rusher. That's not his, best quality. However, he's going to be transformational in that run defense for this Chargers defensive unit. And Jordan Davis on that inside is going to be a mismatch all day long, even at that next level. Now we have number 18. We have the New Orleans Saints. I had them going with tackle Charles Cross from Mississippi State. Reason being, looking at what the Saints are going to have to do this offseason, Teron Armstead very likely won't be back next year. That's why I have them going with a guy like Charles Cross, because they won't be able to afford him. And Charles Cross is a terrific pass protector, is going to slot in very nicely with the Saints offense. They're going to have to make a lot of decisions based off of money this year. I think this is one of the more cost-effective ones, going with a rookie tackle that you're able to have that fifth-year option on in the future. Love the actual fit too. with what this offense is. Charles Cross here at 18. At number 19, we have the Philadelphia Eagles again. Popular pick for me has been Devin Lloyd. When you look at what Devin Lloyd brings from an actual talent standpoint, he's all over the field, has a really, really good feel for the run game. He's getting better and better against the pass. That's something that's super exciting to me. He's almost a complete package for a linebacker, and what the Philadelphia Eagles need is a guy in that second level. We talked about how Howie Roseman, historically speaking, hasn't been looking at that linebacker position in round one, but however, sometimes tendency breakers need to happen. And that's why Devin Lloyd steps in here. He's a true linebacker that can fit in very nicely to this Philadelphia Eagles defense. And I think you're looking at terrific value here at 19 for him. Another riser, especially during the Senior Bowl week, a guy that's getting a lot of traction for how intense he is during these drills. Trevor Penning ran very, very well, fourth fastest offensive lineman in this past combine here. I think that's terrific. His athleticism matches his physicality. And from what he brings on film too, he's just a terrific overall offensive lineman. Pittsburgh Steelers have been needing to improve this offensive line for quite some time, especially this past year. I think slotting in Trevor Penning out of UNI is phenomenal for them. They have to go this route, I think. It's tough because there are other quarterbacks you would consider here. At this point, though, I think they could look for that in the second round. In this mock draft, has been a little more keen towards these offensive linemen rather than the quarterback position. Now at 21, we have the New England Patriots. We have Treylon Burks going, a guy that is super physical off the line of scrimmage, does a great job shielding off corners with his huge 6'3" frame. Arguably one of the best yards after catch guys in the entire draft. Also has a terrific catch radius. And that's exactly what the New England Patriots need in this offense. A little more physicality on that outside. They've done a nice job reconstructing this offense to fit Mac Jones. I think adding a guy like Treylon Burks makes a lot of sense for this team. At 22, you have the Las Vegas Raiders, and I have Trent McDuffie going here. This is a pick that we haven't seen very often, but Trent McDuffie is a terrific corner. Granted, he's only 5'10". He is phenomenal in coverage. Had one of the least amount of yards allowed in the entire nation at that cornerback spot. Reason being, he's just always in a really good position. Does a nice job fighting with his hands. He's also a very, very smart player as well, not drawing too many penalties. I love that for the Raiders, getting a smart corner on that back end, and especially in the division that you play in, when you're facing Patrick Mahomes and Justin Herbert, it's really, really tough to win games if you're not shored up on that back end. That's why I have the Raiders going with a very, very talented corner in Trent McDuffie. At 23, we have the Arizona Cardinals, and the Arizona Cardinals are also in a good spot here because Andrew Booth Jr. possesses a very ideal wingspan at that corner spot. He's 6 foot, long wingspan. Not the fastest corner in the entire draft, but he wins with physicality. Also does a very, very good job, really mirroring, especially bigger receivers, shutting down guys in that red zone. For the Arizona Cardinals, to me, it's crucial that they get a guy opposite of Byron Murphy. You can really cut out Robert Alford, hopefully, out of this lineup. Andrew Booth Jr. is going to be crucial for this Arizona secondary. They're definitely getting better and better. Hopefully they're able to kind of figure out the Kyler Murray situation, but this is a team that's going to be super competitive next year, especially with adding a guy like Andrew Booth Jr. At number 24, we have Tyler Linderbaum. This is I believe the first time we've mocked Linderbaum to Dallas, but this would be absolutely scary. The fact that he can play center, he can play guard at a very, very high level at both spots is great for the Cowboys, provides a lot of versatility along that offensive line. One of the smartest offensive linemen in the entire draft. I think he's the complete package for an interior offensive lineman. There's very few that are going to be selected in this first round. However, he is one of them just from what he brings from a mental standpoint. Also has a really, really good base at that center spot. Love this for the Dallas Cowboys. Now we have the Buffalo Bills. And when you look at the Buffalo Bills, they have Stephon Diggs. Dawson Knox is a huge target. Gabriel Davis has really come on. I think if you add a guy like Jamison Williams, that would really elevate this offense, because when you look at what the elite quarterbacks have, like Patrick Mahomes obviously has a Tyreek Hill. It's interesting to think about what would Josh Allen be like if he had that true down the field threat like Jamison Williams. Granted, he's coming off of an injury, but I think Buffalo has the infrastructure and the receiving core right now where they can survive until he comes back. And Jamison Williams to this Buffalo offense would almost be unfair, man. It would be crazy with Stephon Diggs and Jamison Williams, Gabriel Davis. That's a terrific trio. And watch out, this is becoming one of my favorite picks of the draft, just considering what they could do offensively with that grouping. Now we move on to the Tennessee Titans, and Kenyon Green's my pick. Kenyon Green embodies everything Mike Vrabel's all about: physicality, speed. There's so much to love about what he is here for the Tennessee Titans. Could be terrific in the run game for Derrick Henry. We have to remember that's what a lot of this game is predicated on, or this offense rather, is Derrick Henry getting the ball a bunch of times throughout the game. Kenyon Green is going to be phenomenal. His ability to pull and also get second, third level of the two defenses, to me, is a huge reason why you would want to select him here. Also terrific value. One of those more underrated prospects. And you look at what Kenyon Green brings from a physicality standpoint, it's almost second to none in that run game. Now at the 27th pick, we have the Buccaneers, and Bernhard Raimann is going to be the selection. Really good athlete, former tight end, hasn't been playing football for very long in his career, but he's progressing as a tackle. Fundamentally is getting better and better. And I think at the NFL level, there's a lot of untapped potential with him. There's a little bit more questions about what he is right now. However, I think from where he can be, once you get him into an NFL training facility with, the top tier coaches in the league, Raimann could be a terrific player, has that, Pro Bowl level upside because of his athleticism and, overall build. I love this for Tampa Bay. You're able to make some cap adjustments with what you have currently on the roster, which has already lost quite a few players. To me, they definitely have to consider offensive line in this first round for sure. Now at 28, we have the Green Bay Packers, and the Green Bay Packers here are having to replace a guy that stepped in and made a big impact this past year. That's Devondre Campbell. I don't know if they're going to be able to re-sign him, but you plug in a guy like Nakobe Dean, you're not going to see as dramatic of a drop off as you might think, just because of how good Nakobe Dean is at Georgia. Terrific athlete. Now, Devondre Campbell was one of the best linebackers in the entire NFL last year, all-pro player. And I think Nakobe Dean fits into this defense nicely. Definitely going to have a little bit of drop off. However, you got to kind of mitigate that with selecting a guy like Nakobe Dean. From what he brings from an athleticism standpoint is absolutely huge. Can cover a lot of the field. Also good short area quickness. Love that for the Green Bay Packers. At 29, we have a new entrant, Sky Moore from Western Michigan. Sky Moore put people on notice once again, 4'4", 140. I love what he can bring from an overall athleticism standpoint. The Miami Dolphins are going to be looking for speed, and I think that doesn't change here. Jalen Waddle, already a terrific wide receiver, but you need to make sure Tua's ready to go. We are entering another guy that's a really, really good athlete. I think the Miami Dolphins, adding a guy like Sky Moore could be super dangerous. A lot of speed on the field, and that definitely kills. I think they're not going to be done, at the running back spot. They could be looking for some more speed later on in the draft. A couple of guys I'm excited to show you later on. At number 30, we have the Kansas City Chiefs. Lewis Cine from Georgia, terrific all-around player. Was phenomenal for Georgia this past year. He ran even better than I thought. 4.38, super impressive time for him. He definitely flashes that on film. A guy that gets to the open field and makes tackles consistently, flies in there like a missile. Lewis Cine, also terrific on the back end against some of the SEC's best. Definitely winning some of those 50-50 balls. You love to see that for a guy like Lewis Cine. I think the Kansas City Chiefs are not going to be retaining Tyrann Mathieu. So this to me makes all the sense in the world to go ahead and, really take a chance on a guy that has insanely high upside. And that's Lewis Cine, in my opinion. At 31, we have the Cincinnati Bengals, and the Cincinnati Bengals, they got to address this offensive line. To me, it's no secret. that you have to consider O-line for this team. Just considering with where they've been at this past year, super crucial to me. When you look at what they had to do in the postseason for Joe Burrow, it was a tough sight on scene. For me, looking at Zion Johnson, fits the mold nicely. I love this for the Cincinnati Bengals. A very, very sure pass protector. And that's something that they obviously struggled with the entire year. So Zion Johnson at 31 makes too much sense to me. And then finally, the Detroit Lions, they take Kenny Pickett here. Kenny Pickett slides all the way to 32. A lot of people have talked about how he's going to be the first quarterback off the board. Definitely, I'm not exactly sure if that's true. However, Kenny Pickett is a very mature quarterback, very good size. I just have some questions about, where the overall draft is sitting at with these quarterbacks. Very possible that they continue to get pushed up. Guys like Matt Corral, Kenny Pickett, Malik Willis are going to be on teams' radars. However, Kenny Pickett is going to fill in nicely for the Detroit Lions. He's going to serve as a backup likely in year one, and then who knows after that. But getting him with pick 32 is absolutely huge because of that fifth-year option. You want to make sure you have some long-term control with your quarterbacks. That's why you see teams trade up to that number 32 spot all the time. Minnesota Vikings had done that with Teddy Bridgewater, and the list goes on and on with examples where that's happened. So I love this for the Detroit Lions. Really, really good pickup at the end of the draft. Tremendous value. I think that's exactly where they're going to be looking. So everybody, thank you for watching this video. Hit the subscribe button if you are new. Also, please leave a like if you did enjoy today's video. Let me know in the comment section below who you think is the best prospect in this entire class. I want to get your thoughts on who you think is the top overall prospect, regardless of position. Thanks, guys, for stopping by, and we'll catch you in the next video.